This isn't our normal opening. I'm in downtown Toronto and I'm visiting Drift Outfitters. This is where our excellent trout adventure begins. I'm Bill Spicer. This is the New Fly Fisher. In this episode, I've traveled to Toronto in the province of Ontario to visit Drift Outfitters. Owner Rob Sesta has built a booming fly shop and guide service that serves all of southern Ontario. From steelhead fishing to smallmouth bass, the region and Rob's shop have much to offer visiting anglers. After checking out his well-stocked fly shop, we jumped in my truck and drove approximately an hour and a half to the Collingwood area. Over here somewhere?
Let's go straight forward.
This part of Ontario is blessed with many quality trout streams, all within a close proximity of one another.
Now, to be a great fly angler, you don't have to be an entomologist. What we do want to know is what's in the river, the size of the bug, the color of the bug, and use a fly pattern that mimics exactly that. Oh yeah, here we go, mother load. Woo-hoo-hoo. In the sample here, we've collected a number of mayfly nymphs and also a hellgrammite as well. This is a great indicator of what flies to use. The size and shape, I would definitely be throwing on a pheasant-tail nymph and working my way through these runs. These are all the creepy crawlies that live on the rocks, but they're what fish feed on. So what we're gonna do is walk down river just a little, maybe 20, 30 yards and start fishing. We see some great rocks down here. Yep. We see a foam line. We see a bit of a riffle. So let's
really... deep run, oh my.
And a very deep run. We're gonna fish close to us first and work our way further out without even entering the water initially. We're gonna fish from the bank, and as we get further in, we'll definitely jump into the water and approach new.
Right, yeah, let's get her done.
Excellent, right on. That's a perfect drift.
Fish, oh, fish on, yes,
here we go.
Right at, right at the end.
A great way to explore new water is with a soft tackle wet fly. You're able to cast out, swing through large sections of water, and really explore what might be in there. A soft tackle can emulate a stonefly, a mayfly, and a caddisfly that are emerging from the particular body of water, and it offers a very generic way to present to fish until you figure out exactly what they're feeding on. When presenting a wet fly, we have to keep in mind what the insect is doing in the water. It is drifting downriver with the current after it comes off the bottom of the river, so it's a natural downstream motion. If we swing only on a tight line, we're not giving a very natural presentation. So when you do present, a neat trick is to keep your rod tip high. As you come swinging through the currents, lower your rod tip, which is going to allow that to follow downstream and swing at the same time. One of the techniques we're using today is an indicator rig for nymphing. This involves a suspension device, which is our indicator, a length of tippet, and our fly. Now, in accordance with weight, you need some weight to get your fly down. I prefer to use a very heavy fly than any string of split shot. What ends up happening is you end up crimping the split shot onto your tippet, which weakens it a fair amount. I want every little bit of strength that I can have. I use a heavy tungsten bead head fly, a very thin diameter tippet leading up to our suspension device. What also happens too is if you do use very thin tippet, which I like to use 5X, 6X, or 7X, is that the thinner you go, the more ability your fly has to drop through the water column and to where the fish are. There's far less resistance on thin tippet than there is thick tippet. So 3X, 4X, 5, and anything much thicker than that, you're running into problems. So try to use the thinner tippet as you possibly can to get your fly to where it needs to be. So as we cast an indicator rig, what we want to do is maintain a perfect dead drift still. We want to set ourselves up looking at the current direction and current speeds to meander line appropriately to give ourselves that dead drift. Now when we cast out our indicator rig, we want to make sure that we are maintaining a perfect dead drift so that indicator will follow that foam line, the bubbles we're trying to fish through, and mimic them exactly. Any motion that's not natural, the fish will pick up on and refuse their fly. May not even look at it twice or even a first time because it's not a natural presentation.
The new fly fisher returns after these messages. Now we're taking a break here, Rob. Gives us a chance to talk about Drift Outfitters. Can you tell me all about the operation?
Yeah, we're in downtown Toronto, right in the heart of it. We specialize in local angling, saltwater, all freshwater fishing. Folks who travel to the east coast of Canada, we're fully equipped for, on the west coast. And we really do it all down there. We have an extensive lineup of waders, boots, everything you need to get outfitted, along with a very extensive and in-depth fly tying section.
It's a nice little brookie. Rainbow, brookie.
It's a rainbow. Nice.
Little one on a wet fly. Good searching pattern when you're on new waters. Little rainbow. And there he goes. I'll show you the fly. They think it's an emerging insect. Just a little wet fly. It's meant for casting down and across and let it swing out of the current. As soon as I cast this one out, the fish hit it. What I have here is a situation where we're going from extremely shallow water to some deep water. There's a ledge there. And so I'm swinging it across the ledge. This is where some practice in your backyard hitting targets with your casting really pays off in spades. Sometimes you really got to hit the mark. You got overhanging trees, and you got to try to get under them. And so the practice will pay off when you come on one of these trips. When you got fish hitting, don't move too fast. Move a little at a time. I just got another hit. I just took one step. That's all I did. Now I'll try another couple of casts in this area. You see the camera pick it up? We got light colored water here, that's your shallow water, going into dark water. And that's a ledge right there. And fish will hide right behind the ledge and wait for food to come along. Another small one. I don't know if this is a rainbow or a chub. No, it's another little rainbow. These small streams don't have a lot of big fish. So you take your light equipment. This is actually it's a longer rod, but it's only a 4-weight. Actually, about a 3-weight would be ideal for the right up here. But there's lots and lots of small rainbows, brook trout, and brown trout up this way. There are times when the water is super clear and the fish can be spooked very easily, and using an indicator can be detrimental. Watch as Rob instructs us on how to set up and use a sighter system for nymphing.
A technique that I use very often is an indicator-less approach. Now, this means not using a suspension device. The way it works is I have my nymph, I have my terminal tippet, a 2-tone indicator piece of tippet, followed by my main leader, which is going to help turn my flies over at a longer distance. So with our sighted material, this technique, what we're going to do is cast out into water, it's fairly close to us, and work our way out to deeper water. As we cast out, we're going to cast at a short distance and watch it flow through the water, keeping a high rod tip and good control. So as we look forward and monitor this line, we're looking for the fly not to hang up too often on the bottom. And we're really watching the indicator. If it does move at all, we're going to go for a little exploratory set. You don't need to go for a full Bassmaster right behind us type set. Oh, there we go. Well, it's real light fishing.
On our way downstream, Rob spotted a huge brown sitting in a very difficult run. Rob starts with a streamer, fished like a nymph.
So flashy. Very tough situation. Very tough situation. Impossible casting. Fish in very still water. Gone. I just hit the water with a fly and it didn't like that. I get it. Very still water.
Rob got lucky after the fish spooked. It moved back into its feeding lane. He decided to go with a very small nymph.
Right back down river. Oh, there we go. Got it, got it. Got it, holy woo! Oh, wow. Oh, wow, do you see that? That was, I've never had a fish jump right towards me before. That was, that was something else. So we have a number of very generic flies that we want to use when approaching new water. The first pattern we're going to bring out and fill our boxes with is a fly called the maystone. It's a very generic fly covering many mayfly species and stonefly species. The next fly we're going to really focus on and use is a generic hare's ear nymph in a variety of colors. And this fly can be anything. It can be a mayfly, it can be a caddisfly for all the fish really know. It's moving by them, a bit of color, a bit of flash. It's going to catch their attention and most likely they will take a swing at it. This fly is a fly that a lot of folks hate to love and love to hate. Extremely effective, especially when there's a bit of stain to the water, but even in crystal clear conditions, pink worms can outperform many other flies. This here is the barely legal. It's a Kelly Gallup pattern. It is articulated, so the back end moves and has a ton of motion in the water. This fly can be fished in heavy water, heavy currents, but also slow currents as well. Very seductive, lots of movement. It is a spectacular pattern to fish.
More trout action when we return.
So let's drop down here. I'm gonna head upriver just a little bit and start working our way back towards this deeper section.
That's a nice run, wow.
It's a beautiful run. Absolutely she is. All right, just walk up the bank nice and slow. As stealthy as we can. So in front of us we have a pretty deep run with a moderate current. Sometimes we need to add some depth to a presentation. A few little tricks to help you with that is to add on a sinking tip. Put one of those on, loop-to-loop connection. You're going to have a bit of tippet on the end and use that to get your fly down. Another way to do it is to use the current of the river. So if you have a floating line and a heavy fly, you chuck it out on a 45-degree angle, what happens is the current starts carrying your fly downriver immediately under tension. So to mitigate that and to really get your fly down, you can cast at different angles and add slack to your presentation. So as an example, I'll show you here, casting your fly out on a tight line. The fly hits the water, starts swinging right away, and we're now just maybe 4 to 5 inches below the surface. If you start stripping, it's come even higher up in the water column because you're adding motion to it. Now if we cast it perpendicular to the river, we add some slack, there's no force on that fly or the line right now, and that fly with a bit of weight is going to sink like a rock. As we swing, that fly will kick up in the water column and get a little higher. So it's not perfect, but it's going to give us a bit of depth to start off a presentation with. Now you can cast even further upstream, add more slack, and even achieve greater depth. So you cast upstream, do a big upstream mend, you mend again. You may pull your fly towards you a little bit, but that fly right now has maybe 20, 30 seconds to sink super deep, come through the run, and give a much deeper presentation to a fish that may need to be gotten down to. Oh, there we go. Once again, big flash. This time the fish took the fly, but didn't hold for some reason. That was a big flash. It was a big fish and some heavy currents. Fly still here. Just gotta fish through the run still and see if we can find anything else. Now we just found some new water here. We have 3 great spots to fish. Let's name them Pool 1, Pool 2, and Pool 3. Right behind me is Pool 1. Fantastic bit of water, nice and deep. We'll definitely hold fish quite deep in there, or even along the edges. We have spot 2 across the river from us. We have a nice riffle coming into it, a nice tail out and pool just here. We also have a 3rd spot underneath this bridge. If we were to approach the river and fish spot 3 first by walking down, we could spook what's in pools 1 and 2. So to particularly approach this in a very smart way, we're gonna fish pool 1 first, fish pool 2 seconds, and then fish pool 3. Oh yeah, here we go. Nice, 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 nice. I'm gonna clear all my line down here. Less line to manage. One important part of fishing, and fly fishing especially, is line management. You have a lot of line on the water, laying around. Fish can get tangled up in it, can get knotted while it tries to go through your guides, and you can lose a lot of fish that way. Now, one tip for landing fish in a stream like this is to point your rod upstream, try to land it downstream, maybe chasing after the fish. This way it glides right in, and hopefully right into your net. See you later. So pretty tough day as well. Cold front's moving in. We fished downstream with streamers, had a few swipes, a couple of great takes. And what we've done now is switch over to our European nymphing rig. So long line, small flies, tungsten beads, we're able to produce a beautiful Southern Ontario brown.
Don't go away, we'll be right back. The evening was approaching, and to most trout fishers, this is the best time of the day. The insects started to hatch, and the fish began rising.
On our time on the water, we have found that there are a number of golden stoneflies flying through the air. So a great fly we're going to use is a big stimulator. Now, no matter what fly we use as a dry fly, we have to maintain a perfect dead drift. So to look at the currents in the water, we're going to monitor them for speed. Now, if we find ourselves with multiple currents, we need to manage those by mending our line and using possibly aerial mends as well. If you can watch here, you can watch the bubbles on the water, and you're going to see that this dry fly is going to match the exact speed of those bubbles. A big stonefly or hopper, when it hits the water, will kick and move just slightly. So as a proof of life for some fish, they need to see this thing move just a little bit. That may be the difference between catching a monster fish or the only fish of a day.
Well, good fish too, good fish.
Nice.
Good fish. Yeah, on a rusty spinner. He come right up and right out of the water and took that. Nice rainbow.
Excellent.
Very good, very good. I'll let you
Beautiful
handle it there. He come right up from the bottom and out of the water to take that. Now that's the typical size fish you're going to get in these small streams. Not many of them get very large. There are some lunkers, but most of them are this size here, 10, 12 inches, and they're a lot of fun on a lightweight rod. Now I got a 4-weight here and using light tippet and dry flies, having a great time. Watch as Rob teaches us 3 useful casts for controlling a dry fly.
Not every location on the river is going to give you a perfect shot at an upstream cast. Down here, we have an overhanging tree that's very difficult to cast upstream to. There's far too much going on. So what we're going to do is cast from an upstream position downstream with a dry fly. How we're going to achieve this is to plant our dry fly in the water and the line we want, and then feed line out to it, just like this. As you can see, it's a drag-free drift. The fly is going directly downstream, and we still have great line control. We're not adding too much slack in at one time. We're managing the line very carefully, because if a fish does take, you don't have to pull up 20 feet of line to get a set. In very tight quarters, a great cast to use, and a really fun one, is the bow and arrow cast. In this scenario here, we have overhanging branches and very tight quarters and very little room to back casts. So utilizing this bow and arrow cast is the perfect cast for the job. We're gonna bring the rod straight towards your target, point it at the target, bring the line up over your head, release, and watch the fly go right to where it's supposed to be. When looking to present our dry fly, sometimes an underpowered cast is the way to go. So in this example, I'll show you here, we're gonna cast out, it's gonna allow the fly to land on the water downstream and present a beautiful downstream presentation of our dry fly. Well, it's been a very, very tough day. Blue sky, bluebird day, not a cloud in the sky, very tough fishing conditions. We couldn't move fish really on nymphs, wet flies, you name it, we tried it. Lots of streamers, big and small. At the very end of the day, walking downriver, see a few splashes around this big, big log jam just down here. And well, the thought becomes, It's eating big, so let's go big. It's acting big, so let's go big. So throw on a big stimulator, about 1.5 inches long, plopped on the surface, 6 casts later, woo, right off the top. Absolutely fantastic rainbow. Absolute beauty resident rainbow up here in southern Ontario. You don't find too many this size, maybe a few bigger, many smaller, but that's an absolute stunner of a fish.
For more information on Rob's shop and Drift Outfitters, visit us online at thenewflyfisher.com. From all of us here at The New Fly Fisher, thanks for joining us. Tight lines, and we'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Mark Melnick from the New Fly Fisher television show. I really hope you enjoyed that full-length episode. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe today. Now, new episodes are going up all the time, so click that bell icon so that you're notified the next time we put one up.